Hello, everyone. Welcome to the pre-departure information session. I'm pretty sure you're all pretty excited to go participate in your international learning experience coming up soon. You may have some concerns, having some questions. So we wanted to run this session to make you feel more supported. If you have any questions or concerns, we want to use this opportunity to answer any question that you may have. And also use this as an opportunity for you to kind of like connect with some of your peers. We normally do like an in-person social before the pandemic, but unfortunately we have to do everything virtual given the pandemic. So we're hoping that by having this session, you will be having some opportunities to be connected with your peers, especially people who will be going to the same country with you. So before I started, I have a small request. If you can just update your name to your name and the country that you're going to go for international learning experience, that would be great. We will be doing some icebreakers and also group activities based on the country that you will be going. So if you can just rename on the Zoom to add the country that you will be going behind your name, that would be great. So a little bit information about myself. My name is Fan, and I'm one of the international learning coordinator work at Western International. So for those who are going to UK, you probably already know me. I'm the international coordinator, coordinating programs, especially for the region of UK. So along with me today, I have my colleague Eunice, who is the faculty-led study abroad and safety abroad coordinator. And also we have Craig from Student Experience. So I'm gonna turn over to them to introduce themselves as well.
Okay. Hi, everybody. My name is Eunice, as Fan mentioned, and I support faculty-led study abroad as well as safety abroad within the international learning team at Western International. So I'm here to help with any questions that you might have, specifically relating to faculty-led or safety abroad. So I look forward to the next hour with you and look forward to healthy discussions.
Hello, everyone. My name is Craig Ingram. I work within the Careers and Experience department here at Western's main campus career service office. Basically just excited excited for each of you with going away and happy, and thank you to Fan and Eunice for allowing me to be part of this session. Basically just to highlight really quickly, I know that you're going to go away and do exciting things and enjoy the experience, but recognize also that people may be thinking, how can I utilize some of this experience when I think about what I'm going to do after I finish my program? So I'm happy to be here and just note a couple of things on the career side of things that I think the experience can give you and that you can think about while you're away to get the most out of the experience. And then our team within Careers and Experience, I know that we've been chatting with Fan and hopefully do some sessions maybe after you come back to help further talk about how you can maybe translate or transfer that rich experience that you're going to have to help as you look to do things career-wise.
Awesome. Thanks, Eunice and Craig. So I think we're just gonna do the career focus at the beginning, as I know, Craig, you may need to leave a little bit earlier, if that is okay. And we can focus more on the safety aboard part afterwards. So I'm just gonna put my slide. Can everyone see my screen okay? Craig, I'm gonna turn over to you.
Great. So I'm not sure, Fan, if maybe you can hit the button a few times for me. I think that this got set up. Yeah. So sorry. There you go. Thank you. So sorry, didn't set up that slide to kind of be there all at once. But maybe the first aspect I just wanted to talk about, as you're all likely aware, is that there are a ton of benefits to going abroad, aside from just getting a great experience and sort of building your life experience and getting to see perhaps parts of the world that you haven't had a chance to see. Alongside of that, though, I guess just want to drive home the points that you see on the slide, that there really is a lot of benefit as well when we think about, how you can speak to this experience or utilize this experience for whatever you may choose to do after you come back, whether that ends up being working abroad or working internationally, or even working inside of Canada and speaking to the different experiences that you've gained. And as you can see here, I guess I just wanted to touch on a few of them to have you keeping in your mind. Obviously nothing earth-shattering here, but just things that I think you want to, as you're going and enjoying the experience, also be mindful of, trying to really put yourself out there and really try to get the most out of the experience, and be thinking not only about how it's enriching just your day-to-day and the learning that you're doing, but also, as you can see on the slide, I think there's a lot of benefits from the career side. The fact that you will be able to expand your global knowledge and perspective. We're seeing more and more, as many of you likely are already aware, that regardless of the industry that you work in, regardless of the position that you hold or the organization that you work with, definitely everything is becoming more globalized. People are working with cross-functional teams and doing things globally, even if the majority of the business that they operate in is in one country. And so I think definitely this experience will allow you to do that. Might seem relatively obvious, but the networking side of things. So the chance to meet new people, build what we call your sort of intercultural awareness and expand your network beyond perhaps the network of people that you've had the opportunity to get to know or meet up until now is really powerful. So, I know that likely the team will speak to this too about your experience when you're out abroad, but I would encourage you again to really, make the most of the experience as far as meeting people, getting to know other people, and really trying to, get not only the, the academic side of things, but also that social and that sort of networking side. Definitely will allow you to gain some experience in a global setting, which is great. And I think that you can really speak to regardless of what you want to do sort of afterwards. And it really allows you to connect the classroom learning to real world experiences. So this is something that, well, as you might know, through interviewing, oftentimes you're asked to talk about times when you've been in certain situations or had to deal with certain problems or issues, and being able to do that in an even more culturally aware or globally wide perspective is really powerful. So I think even though, that there might not be a tremendous focus right away on, how this might play into what you're going to do eventually career-wise, I think you just want to be mindful of the fact that there really is a lot of value when you think about how this can really help you as you start to shape your career afterwards. And Fan, maybe if I could just ask you to switch to the next slide for me. And I guess the point that, the last point that I'll make just quickly before I turn it over to the rest of the team is, with all that I've said, one thing that we as a career education team here within Career Experience would really encourage everyone to do when they do go for an experience that's abroad or even in a different province or basically anywhere outside of getting away from home, is this idea of reflective journaling. So, some of you may have a fair amount of clarity. Some of you may still be in the decision-making process of exactly, what the things that you want to do career-wise. But as you think about either the things that you want to do, or even if you're kicking around a few different ideas, one thing we really encourage people to do is think about, those ideal jobs or ideal companies or ideal industries that you're thinking you'd really like to transition to after you're done your Western experience. And if you can give thought to, before you go, maybe some of the key skills or attributes that you feel, that those kinds of positions or those kind of industries really are looking for. We're big fans of journaling, writing down, first of all, that set of skills, whether it be communication, teamwork and collaboration, personal leadership, whatever it may be. And then being mindful of your time, because believe it or not, I think you will find, that most people find, regardless of their age or situation or how long they go for, that the time when you're in a new environment goes by tremendously quickly. And that's not to make you sad before you even begin, but it will almost probably likely you'll be done your experience before you even know it. And sometimes when you're just in the moment and experiencing all that, sort of new, rich environment, it can be easy to sort of just let the days go by and kind of not take a moment to sort of reflect on or think about the things that you are seeing, the things that you are experiencing, the new, thoughts and perspectives that you do have. So definitely, if it's not something that people already do, I know some people just do this by nature, journal, but we really would encourage everyone, just a small notebook, relatively cheap to buy, easy to pack and bring along, but would really encourage people. And it's not something, you can do it every day, but even at a minimum, I guess we would encourage people to do even just, maybe for half an hour or something at the end of each week, trying to be mindful to sit down and say, how has this week gone? What did I take away from the experiences that I've had? What things have stood out in my mind? And actually trying to perhaps connect that back to identifying some of the specific things that you've done that, have given you more ability when it comes to some of those key skills or attributes that you've already identified before going away as being key to, some of the career objectives that you have. I think if you can do that, then it just makes it that much more rich as you get ready to plan to maybe talk to organizations or people about opportunities. It makes it easier for you to connect those really powerful experiences that you're going to be having back as you're telling your story or as you're addressing questions that you get asked, which I think will really help you stand out as a candidate. So appreciate Fan and Eunice, you giving me the time, and it won't take up any more of the time, but those are sort of a couple of key thoughts that as you're getting ready to go away, we'd really encourage you to do, and would love to see people when they come back visiting us or interacting with us in the career and experience department. We're at UCC 210. And like I say, hopefully in the future, we'll also be able to maybe run some sessions with Fan for people who've returned from experiences and help pick up on the things that I've just mentioned.
Thank you so much, Greg. This is really, really helpful. As Greg mentioned, we're planning to work on, collaborating with students' experience to create more dedicated sessions for you when you return back to Western to really kind of like learn how to transfer the skills and experience that you gain aboard to your future career. I think this is really important. The experience that you will be having is going to be amazing. And it's really important to know how to transfer the skills that you gain from international learning experience to your future career. So before I let Greg go, are there any questions for him? You can just unmute yourself or feel free to send your question in the chat box. I will be sharing the contact information at the end of the session. So if you do have any questions after the session, you can definitely email us. If you have any questions, you want to get more resources regarding career development, regarding your international learning experience, we can definitely share more resources with you or connect you with the students' experience if needed. I'm not seeing any questions. Okay, thank you again, Craig. It's really nice having you. You're more than welcome to stay, but you are free to go. And we're happy to look forward to the future collaboration in more sessions.
I look forward to it too as well, Fan. Thank you so much. I do have to run, but thanks again for letting me be part of this. And once again, to everyone, I wish you all the best and hope you have a great experience, and hopefully look forward to chatting with you all when you get back.
Awesome. Thanks. Awesome. So I'm gonna go back to sharing my screen and continue with the rest of the session. So here's a brief agenda of the session that we will be having today. We will be doing a small icebreaker game to give you more opportunities to kind of like connect with each other. And we have already gone through some tips from the students' experience regarding career focus. As I mentioned, we're hoping to do more sessions, especially after you return back to Western, to give you more trainings and tips on how to transfer the skills you gained to your future career. And then after that, we will do some safety aboard tips, as we know that you may have some concerns traveling during the pandemic. As this ever-changing situation, we don't know what will be happening even the next day. So we wanted to make sure that you are aware of the situation and some of the important things that you will need to know. We'll be also doing some small group activities. Hopefully we'll give you some extra opportunities to be connected with students going to the same country with you. So without further ado, let's do a small icebreaker. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to set up maybe 3 small breakout rooms. As I'm saying, we are having, I think 26 students. So I'm just gonna create 3 breakout rooms and randomly assign you to one of the breakout rooms. And in the breakout rooms, I wanted to kind of introduce yourself, which program are you in, which year are you in, and also share where you will be going for international learning experience, which country you will be going, which institution you will be attending. And also I wanted to share with your peers what makes you the most excited about studying abroad and why you wanted to study abroad at the very beginning. So I'm going to create the breakout rooms. Okay, you should receive the notification on your screen to join one of the breakout rooms. And I will just giving you about like 5 minutes and call you back after 5 minutes.
I don't know what's happening. Do you hear me?
Yeah, I think I put you in the room 1. Did you receive anything on your screen?
Let's go in.
There's no button that you can click on to join
Like,
the.
and then it brings me back to here for some reason.
Oh, what about right now?
Let me try.
Not sure why this is happening.
And then 4 would be your insurance coverage. So even more so now that we're in a pandemic, insurance is incredibly important. There are 2 types of insurance. So there is out-of-country health insurance and out-of-country travel insurance. So health insurance will include things like if you were to get sick, let's say with COVID, or if you break your leg or any other bone in your body and need a treatment. The insurance should pay for any expenses you incur for treatment, for any illnesses or any health-related issue. And for travel, that will include things like canceled flights, accommodation if you needed to stay somewhere overnight because of whatever reason, and also any like luggage that you may have lost as well. So because of the pandemic, you should really look into your insurance coverage for both medical and travel. Make sure that your policy includes COVID-19 related expenses. What we're finding is some insurance companies are not covering COVID-19 expenses because they are seeing it as a known risk, basically. So before you leave the country or wherever you're traveling from and traveling to your host destination, please make sure that you know exactly what your insurance covers, including any COVID-19 related expenses, and that you're comfortable with that coverage. So that basically means if there's something that your insurance provider does not cover, you need to be comfortable with that, or at least have the funds available to cover expenses that they don't cover. Another point I'll make as well with insurance is that some insurance will only reimburse you after the fact. So what that means is, let's say you are sick and you have to go to the hospital for any reason. The insurance provider may not even give you money to pay for your hospital fee upfront. They may ask you to pay for it upfront yourself and then they'll reimburse you after the fact or once you return to Canada. So if that is the case, and something that you should confirm with your insurance provider before leaving, you'll have to have some kind of funds available to pay for any of those expenses. So for most students, that just means, bringing a credit card along with you, and making sure that your credit limit is such that you feel comfortable traveling with that credit limit in case you needed to make any payments for any medical expenses, or if you have to book accommodation, etc. And then you can reimburse, then your insurance provider can reimburse you once you either return to Canada or after the fact. So that's another really important thing to consider, and something that really came to the forefront when students were traveling last year when the pandemic first hit. And then registering with Canadian Abroad. So that is for Canadian citizens. So for students who have Canadian citizenship, you can register your travel details with the Canadian government. This is helpful when, for example, you are wanting to return to Canada because something's going on, for example, COVID. So when they were evacuating Canadians back from countries abroad back to Canada, they were referring to details in their database, in the Canadian Abroad database. So something to really think about. If you're not a Canadian citizen, that's fine. Some other countries will have similar things. You may choose to register with them. But keep in mind, if you are not Canadian and you register with another country, they'll likely evacuate you back to your country of citizenship. So just something to think about. And then towards the end, we've got obtaining any required vaccinations or health checks. So this will be especially important now with the pandemic. So for some countries, they will require vaccinations against COVID-19. Something to consider as well, because some countries may accept certain vaccinations and they might not accept others. So something to look into. If you are needing to get vaccinations prior to leaving, you will need to arrange that, I would say, as soon as possible if you're leaving in winter term, because you will need to wait for the vaccinations to come into effect. So you may need to be fully vaccinated 2 weeks before you leave, for example. So something to look into if you haven't already. And then any health checks as well. So depending on your country that you'll be entering into, they may require, let's say, a negative COVID test, or any other, maybe booster shot potentially. So that's something, again, you'll need to look into for your specific country, and plan ahead, and definitely in advance if you haven't already. And then the final step, learning how to stay safe abroad. So that refers to international SOS. So we have, so Western has purchased international SOS services, and I'll go into a bit more detail about that in our following slides. So Van, if you don't mind going to the next one for me, thank you. So International SOS is it's a big company. They're basically a risk mitigation company that Western has purchased a partnership with, or purchased their services through, I guess I could say. They are a really good resource for finding information that you might need before you leave. They're also a service where you can call them while you're in the country and ask for assistance. So they are available to be contacted 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, if you're in an emergency. So the best way to contact them would be to download their assistance app. Their app will also give you updates based on the country you're traveling in. As well. So I find that particularly helpful if there are things that are happening and they're happening really quickly. So in the past, we've had instances where there was like a crash, for example, like a train crashing somewhere, and so students were able to see, okay, there was a train crash, and therefore that means that there are delays with the train system, and we're able to adjust their plans accordingly. So yeah, so ISOS, there is more information about ISOS on our Safety Abroad website if you want to take a look at that. And Western has a membership number that you can use to log into member services. So if you do choose to do that, there is a country profile that they'll have for each country around the world. And they also have a COVID-19 related site. So that in itself is incredibly valuable, especially in this day and age. And it will also list things like entry requirements, vaccination requirements, and any other changes that they might have. Also, quarantine requirements, if there are any for your country. So please take the time to look into the International SOS site and log in as a Western member. The Western membership number will also be on our website, but you will have to log in using your Western credentials. So yeah, Fan, if you could, thank you. Okay, so I know that everyone is going to different countries, so obviously things will be different depending on where you go in terms of your entry requirements, in terms of what you might need to prepare for your exchange. So we highly recommend that you research what the current travel restrictions and entry requirements are at your destination, keeping in mind as well that this can change very quickly. We've already seen in the past week that countries have started restricting travel based on the new variant that's come out with COVID. So that's something that, you know, if you are planning to travel abroad, you will need to check very regularly. I would even check, you know, every day because things are just changing constantly. And, you know, it's funny to say this now, but you know, if you're leaving in January or late December, that's about a month's time. A lot of things can happen in a month's time, as we've seen with the past 2 years. So our recommendation is to make sure that you're up to date and you are aware, so that, you know, you're not getting ready to leave and then realize, oh no, I haven't done that, and therefore I can't travel today. So we don't want that to happen, obviously. And we will update you with as much information that we have, but at the same time, things do change so quickly that, you know, it really will require you to be really flexible and also current and up to date with, you know, what your responsibilities will be when you're traveling. Checking with your host institution is probably the second next best thing besides researching yourself. So a lot of you should be getting regular communication from your host. So usually they are really good at giving you information based on the information they're getting from, you know, their country's government, or, you know, information that they're getting from their colleagues and from the institution themselves. So make sure you're checking those emails. So make sure that they're sending those emails to the right email. So if that means checking your Western account, or if you already have an email account with the host institution, make sure you're checking that so you're not missing out on any important information. And then finally, creating a safety travel plan. So we've already talked about all of these safety abroad steps that we have established already. Creating a safety plan basically means creating contingency plans. So that could be, you know, let's look at all of the different scenarios that could happen from now until your departure date, and even now until when you're in the country. So what will you do if? So what will you do if your flight is cancelled? What will you do if the country says that you can't leave and return to Canada? What will you do if, you know, et cetera, et cetera. So I would really encourage you to think about that right now. If you have other students that are going to the same destination, for example, the same country, I would recommend also just having a chat amongst yourselves, because there might be some ideas that you can share with peers and establish amongst yourselves. That's, I think, the best way to really prepare for worst case scenarios, or for things that might change that are different to what you may have planned. Some students may have family in the country that they'll be traveling to, or family that are close by. And if that's the case, you know, I encourage you to reach out to them and let them know that you are coming, and you know, if they would be happy to support you if you needed to, or if they would be happy to host you if you needed to. And that might also mean, you know, talking to family in terms of, you know, making sure that they're aware of your plans here in Canada, or, you know, wherever else they might be located in the world. Just so, you know, for their peace of mind as well, so that they know that you have also thought about it and that they can support where they need to support you. Okay. Ben, if you don't mind clicking next. Awesome, thank you. Okay, so we have a separate slide here for the pandemic, obviously, because it has had such a huge impact on really and the entire world's operations. So I've already mentioned that countries do implement travel restrictions in, very, very quickly and usually with no notice or very short notice. So again, please research your visa requirements and any entry exit requirements before you leave. So if you haven't already, I would recommend doing it right now. Just be aware of what it is currently and also just be prepared in case they do change that. And any backup plan. Yeah, so any backup plan. So, what happens if this happens? What happens if that happens? So, yeah. Wonderful, thank you. So this is a map of the current COVID cases around the world. This, again, can change, does change all the time. So you can see there are a lot more cases in Europe right now, and we are seeing a couple more restrictions, obviously, with their some entry requirements and some, they call them like COVID certificates, for example, or it could be like a vaccine passport. So that's something to be aware of, especially if you are going to Europe or any other country that might be experiencing, let's say, a spike in cases. What we typically will see is that they will tighten the requirements or the what you need to maintain, let's say a vaccine passport or a COVID certificate. So I've already seen with France, they are now requiring a booster shot starting, I believe, early January for people who want to apply for a COVID certificate or a health pass. If you have received your second dose or first dose more than 7 months ago. So, we are seeing countries starting to do that. It is likely that that might be something that happens across Europe, but right now we've only been able to verify that happening in France, or at least show plans that they are looking to do that in early 2022. So that just kind of shows you the nature of how quickly things progress and the need to be flexible and the need to be well read up on what's going on and understanding exactly what you need to do before you leave and understanding what the situation could potentially be when you are in the country. So yeah, next slide, please, Finn.
Thanks, Eunice. I think this is really helpful. As Eunice mentioned, things can change very, very fast. So it's really important that you're understanding, what situations could be, and especially do your own research regarding the country that you will be going, the city you will be going, as this could be different based on, the country, the region, and sometimes it's also different regarding the institution that you're going. So we're going to do another small group activity and hopefully to put you together for, based on the country that you're going, the region you're going, as I see, like some of you are going to, some of the countries that we only have 1 or 2 students are going. So I have created 3 breakout rooms based on the region, 1 for Europe, 1 for UK, and 1 for Asia. And in the group, I wanted you to share with the people in the same group with you, the information that as this could be helpful to others who are going to the same region with you. So do you need an active COVID-19 test or the proof of vaccination to enter the country or the region you're going right now? What type of the COVID-19 test you have to do? It can be like a PCR test or it can be like a rapid test. So understanding, detailed restrictions and requirement for the test that you will need to do if needed. What is the quarantine requirement? So some of the countries may still require people to do quarantine once they enter the country. So what are the requirements for that? Do you have to do 14 days quarantine, or do you have to, do a self-arranged quarantine? Or in some countries, people will send you to one of the hotel room when you enter the country. So what are the quarantine requirements? And also any requirement to attend in-person classes beyond campus at your host institution. So this is really important as majority of the schools are kind of like resuming their in-person classes. Are there any restrictions for you to be able to attend in-person activities? on campus. If you have any information that you want to share with your peers, or if there's something that you do not know, we highly recommend that you check with your host institution to get that information. And any other resources that you know about the country or the region that you're going, you're more than welcome to share with your peers. So I'm going to open the breakout rooms and give you maybe about 5 to 8 minutes to share the resources you know. And then we can regroup at the end if there's any questions or concerns. Alexander, I'm not sure. Sweden. Okay, I'm gonna move you to Europe. I'm not sure if you do you have problems joining? Oh, seems like this worked.
Awesome.
Okay, Kellen, where are you going?
I'm going to Norway, sorry.
Okay, here we go. We're just waiting for the last group to come back. Well, I hope you had some good discussion and information sharing. And I hope you found that is helpful. If you are realizing some of the information that you don't know, make sure that you do some research, reach out to your host institution to figure out the information that you need to know. Okay. So again, I hope you found that helpful. If you feel like there's anything that you need to know that you don't know right now, make sure that you do your research and reach out to people, to figure out the information that you need to know before you leave. So just want to provide you with the final 3 safety aboard tips. Make sure that you are prepared, you're aware of the information that you need to know for your upcoming international travel. So again, as Eunice mentioned, double check your out of country medical and travel insurance coverage, make sure what is covered, what is not covered. Be aware of, the policies, fully understand your coverage, especially, costs related to COVID-19, whether it's covered under your insurance, and understand entry and exit requirement for your host destination as well as Canada. What are the requirements to enter the country that you're going to? And when you are ready to return back to Canada, what are the requirements at that time to return back to Canada? So make sure you check that information all the time, as this can be changed very fast. And also prepare contingency plans for multiple scenarios. So think about the different scenarios that could happen when you're aboard. What if this happened? What are you going to do? What if that happened? What are you going to do? So just prepare yourself for different scenarios, as you don't know what could happen. So be prepared for the different scenarios would be really helpful. So last, we want to share with you our contact information. So the best way to contact us if you have any questions, you can send us email to goboard@uw.ca as always. I'm pretty sure you contacted us in the past already regarding your application, your international learning experience. But at any time, if you like, you don't know who to contact, you don't know where to find out information, you don't know where to ask, you can always send email to goboard@uw.ca. And also keep checking your UWO email while you are aboard as well. So if there's anything we need to reach out to you, any information we need to share with you, we will send email to your UW email. So keep checking your email address even when you are aboard. And as we mentioned, keep in touch with your host institution is really important. As you are in that country, you will need to know the updated information about the policies in that country. And most of our host university will be able to share that information with you. And also you can contact Travel Registry if you have any questions about pre-departure trainings or Western's Travel Registry. So that's the end of the session.